Welcome to Secrets from the Saddle podcast. I'm Sylvie, your host, fellow cyclist, bike club founder, cycling coach, bike race junkie, just truly super passionate about cycling. My journey with cycling started 20 years ago when I opened a spin studio, started a women's race team, and founded a women's only cycling club called Cycle Fit Chicks. I'm super thrilled to reveal all aspects that make the world of cycling operate. I'm so excited to be able to bring you interesting people from around the world, pro cyclists, recreational cyclists, coaches, event organizers, bike shop owners, everything and everyone you need to know or ever wondered about when it comes to cycling. I know you'll enjoy this episode. This podcast is sponsored by Dow Training Systems Winter Indoor Cycling Program. If you're still looking for a winter program that incorporates Swift, that's organized, structured, and has a proven development guaranteed with a supportive Facebook group and amazing people who are getting results daily, this might be the program for you. I highly recommend checking out www.cyclingskillspro.com. We have an amazing deal for you. Until January 30th, you can receive 20% off your first month by using the code word gravel at checkout. So totally worth it. Jump in, join us, and improve your cycling skills and endurance for the spring today. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Secrets from the Saddle, All Things Cycling Podcast with your host, Sylvie Dow, and this is Friday's Coach's Corner. I hope you've been enjoying a lot of the information. We're talking about cycling events, gravel events. If you notice, I'm putting together like these series, and I'm reaching out to a lot of event organizers to get them on the podcast. So if you happen to know of your favorite event and you know the organizer or even send me the contact information and I will reach out and we will get them on the podcast. So, because nothing is better than finding a really good event through listening to the person who's organizing it and, why they do it and their passion behind it and a little bit of information. And that's how I found a couple events. And I know that's how a couple of you guys found some events to participate in. And so if you happen to know anybody or you know of events in your area, message me through Instagram or on YouTube. All right. Now, today we are going to be talking about trainers and rollers. I'm not talking about trainers, the coaches. I'm talking about trainers, like your bike sitting on trainers. But before we get into that, I just want to share something about the analytics. Like I always say, I love to get in there a couple times in the month and look at the analytics from the podcast. And we have hit almost over 270,000 downloads. Thank you so much, you guys. Keep listening. I'm absolutely enjoying, how much I love doing this and sharing coaching tips and people, places, things that are all things cycling. And that's what this podcast is about. Now, so we are going to be talking about bike trainers like your Sweeto, your Tax, your Wahoo Kicker, all these trainers that your bikes are sitting on. And why are we going to talk about those? We're also going to talk about the rollers and how amazing they are and how maybe this is something you might want to look into adding to your training regime. So a couple of things about the rollers. A lot of people don't really like getting on them, for obvious reason, because they are hard to get
started using. I mean, I remember starting, 12, 15 years ago with a bunch of friends at a karate studio. Yeah, my friend, he owned a karate studio, Will, and every Friday night at 6 p.m., we all went there with our bikes and our trainers, and he had a set of rollers that we could all try. And he put them like right against the wall, so we were against the bar, so that you could hold on to the bar and get your balance and work on stabilizing yourself on the trainer or on the rollers. And basically it took everybody, a couple weeks to get used to this. I won't lie. It's not the easiest thing because it demands a lot of your attention, and it also requires you to engage a lot of your muscles and develops great focus. And pedal stroke. Let's talk about pedal stroke. So that's what I want to talk about the rollers today, and what the trainers are doing to us skill wise. So trainers are great skill killers. And I don't know if you realize that, but if you go back to some of my podcasts last year, the coaching ones, a lot of them talked about, how the trainers, removing the skills that you have developed, and then they kind of, they just remove. I can't even think what I'm saying, but they are literally robbing you of cycling skills. And this is what I'm talking about. Now, imagine you on your trainer and you're like, maybe you're like on Instagram or something while you're on your trainer, and literally like you're not even paying attention to what you're doing, and your cadence is probably about 40 or 50. That's a prime example right there. You have nothing to focus on, whether you're on Swift or not. Your focus level can be completely diverted to, being on your phone. And then when you're doing that, you're not focusing on your cadence, and it's super low. So first thing is your cadence is poor pedal stroke. You're not developing any kind of speed because it's not required of you, because it actually, hurts a little bit to be putting that kind of power out to build up your cadence to 90. The next thing is pedal stroke, poor pedal stroke efficiency, poor pedal stroke, period. One of the things that is the best about rollers is the way that it forces you to become a very efficient, smooth cadence, and creates your pedal stroke so that it's stronger, it's faster, and that's how you become better. Your performance improves is through your pedal stroke and your cadence efficiency. And that's, through a lot of my clients who have joined me this winter for the Dow Training Systems Cycling Skills Program, is they want to get better and get faster. And that's how you do it. So sometimes it's like you have to change things up. Other things on the trainer is your posture. Sometimes you get into this really, really poor posture. Maybe you're spending most of your time sitting up because you're on your phone or whatnot, and you're not really putting any effort into it. But it also creates poor posture, shoulders up, head dropped. You're not looking forward anymore, so you're not treating it like a road bike. And often I just make little cues when I'm training, is like heads up, shoulders down. Because when we ride, we don't ride with our heads down because we have to see where we're going. So a lot of these things, like you spend 5 months on the year inside on your trainer, always looking down at your handlebars. Oh my God, what are you going to do when you get back out onto the road? So like That's another one. Your bike control, like you won't experience anything like that on the trainer, but when you're on the rollers, it's another story, right? Because you need to control your bike. You need to stay awake to control your bike so that you can consistently bike in a straight line and you don't fall over, because you can't afford to slow down because you will fall over. And it also forces you to keep a cadence that's very high. Work at a specific gear ratio. Keep your head up, stay awake, stay alert, stay focused. And a lot of times, when you're starting, it's like your awareness is so heightened that sometimes it's, just a bit much. And until you are able to, get really good or get good at it, can you relax? And, adding here's a couple little things that you can start doing, and this is how you can start getting into using the rollers. Like I said, find some, go search on Kijiji or Craigslist or whatever local buy and sell Facebook page there is. Pick some up. You will not regret it. First of all, like I said, it's going to take you a little bit to get used to it. And that means biking in a doorway for as long as you can, stay there and maintain your balance. Start taking your hands on and off. Maybe even start, like I recommend starting without clipping in. Just use straight up running shoes, so that if you do end up almost falling over, you will be able to put your leg out and kind of stop you over not being able to clip out and falling down on something. So that's the first thing. When you get them, make sure all the bolts are tight. I remember one time, like one of the bolts came loose on the rollers, and then the band came off, and we came to a complete stop. It was a bit of a nightmare, but that can happen, especially if you're buying it used. One of my friends bought it used, and the bolts they just would not stay on. So he had to literally Loctite them on so that his rollers wouldn't fall apart. So get your rollers, check them out, make sure the band is still in good shape. Set them up in the doorway or beside a couch or beside a chair, or something that you could put your hands on that's stable or maybe like a post, something like that. So when you do lose your balance, and you will, you have something easy to grab. Then use running shoes, not bike shoes. And, make sure you pump up your tires, because rollers do not work with low pressure tires, because you'll have to work super hard. So make sure that's done, and then you just get up and get your bearings, and you'll have to play around with your gears until you get the right one that's going to keep you upright, and then just go with it. I know everybody's on their tax or their trainers, but add this once a week, a couple times a month. It is so powerful and add to your performance. You will not regret it. Guaranteed. Move away from developing those poor skills as you're training, because you just don't realize it. Your back's hunched over, your head's dropped, you're pedaling just way too slow. You're not getting into, standing and seated and standing. These are things you can develop really strong, powerful ways, like on the rollers. Things that advance on the rollers is like being able to take your hand off, one hand at a time, and then trying to reach for your water bottle and drinking. and then reaching for food in your back pocket or reaching over to a table if you have something close by. So you can advance it. Like, I know guys who can literally drink tea and read the newspaper on their rollers. I mean, they've been doing this for decades, but that's how good you could get. Isn't that not crazy? That's crazy. And this is just one way that you can do something small that's going to definitely help you to increase your performance. And here's another reason why rollers are nice. So if you happen to compete or go to bike races and you want to warm up, it is way easier to pull out the rollers than to take your back wheel off and put it on a trainer or put your bike in a trainer. You know what I mean? So you could set it up right beside the car and get a good warm up and then, literally pop yourself off and bike away. So there you have it. Props to rollers. I think they're one of the best pieces of equipment out there for training hard, training right. If you got really, strong desire to get faster on your bike, a set of rollers should be part of your equipment. So with that, I hope you guys took a little, maybe consider trying to find some. If you have some, I would love to hear about your stories on getting rolling on your rollers and how long maybe it took you to get good and confident to ride them. I know it took me probably a couple of years, but I kept at it. And now I'm still not, like my buddy, drinking tea and reading the newspaper, but I can drink and I've been able to take both hands off only once. But I'm getting there, but I just need to practice more, and it's just about practice. So with that, have an amazing day. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and also on our YouTube channel. I will be talking more. So there's 2 YouTube channels. There's one for the podcast and there's one for myself, Sylvie. So go and search that because I am putting up videos. I'm hoping on a weekly basis, probably just a couple a month right now. And as I get prepared for Unbound XL and how I'm taking all this information that I'm learning from my podcast guests and starting to apply it, starting to get ready, self-motivating for my training. And so just sharing the whole experience with you guys, which I'm really excited about. I'm going to Barry-Roubaix. I don't know how excited I am about that because the more I think about it, the more I like the longer endurance stuff, less the racy stuff. Do you know what I mean? Because the shorter, the more intense. And as much as I used to bike race for 8 years back in the day, my last bike race was 2013. Really bike race, not gravel race. I did some gravel racing last year. And it's just that intensity right off the bat that I think I'm, just going to enjoy more of the long stuff. But anyways, we'll talk about that at the end of the summer. I might have a better feel about that after I get this event done. So anyways, you guys have an amazing day. And don't forget to share this with your friends. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me on the Secrets from the Saddle podcast, learning more about citing people, places, and things that make cycling such an exciting sport. I am so glad you stopped by today. Please leave me a review if you feel so moved to do so. I would love to hear your feedback. And if you could take 1 second to share this episode with someone you think would enjoy it, I would be forever grateful. Also, if you could please leave me a review if you feel so moved by going to iTunes and leaving me an honest thought and an honest comment, telling me what you think, and most importantly, tell me what you'd like to hear more of. It would really help me to bring more great, inspiring cycling stories to you. Until then, have an amazing day. Make sure you ride your bike. And don't forget to visit my YouTube channel if you'd like to see the full version of this podcast live.